Hey everyone. I'm hoping you all had a wonderful May Day yesterday. For me and my comrades, it was kind of unusual. Like the turnout was small, and we got into a caravan for our May Day event. It was really unusual. We don't usually get into a caravan with a line of cars like going down the Las Vegas Strip. We don't usually do that. And I guess like they and I are sort of hoping that we won't have to do that again. And also that like there will be a larger turnout, but apparently there's also been some drama, I guess, with the LVDSA, and apparently, a particular focus group wanted the May Day in Las Vegas to be solely about the plight of undocumented workers, which is valid, but it seems kind of strange to me that that should be the whole focus of May Day. And also, I think it's also kind of limited, because if that's the sole focus, then it's not going to encourage a whole lot of interfacing between, say, the undocumented workers and other workers, on a natural level. So I guess during this drama, these people who were connected with the LVDSA were telling those of us of the Las Vegas Wobblies to basically just fuck off, and they decided not to turn up on May Day. So that really sucks. Anyway, earlier during this coronavirus outbreak, I've taken to the study of minerals and certain forms of microbial life, like bacteria and fungi and algae. And I also learned a bit about how crystals work and how they're classified. Like, for example, water actually has the exact same covalent structure as potassium oxide and sodium oxide, and it also has more or less the same crystalline structures as these other two minerals. So I got to wondering, do mineralogists classify ice as a mineral? And it turns out, yes, they do, which is kind of odd because though water has all the same basic properties as like these oxide minerals I've mentioned, it's made of components that were strictly like atmospheric in origin. Like none of its components are from the lithosphere. But yeah, water still nonetheless has like most of the same properties as these other minerals. Now, on to the stuff that I learned about microbes. I've actually learned that there's a species of bacteria known as Cupria vitis nicator that undertakes a form of oxygen-based respiration that emits water. And it can also undertake a carbon-based respiration, which emits oxygen. So yeah, I think this kind of bacteria would actually be very beneficial to a lot of ecosystems, and it turns out that this species of bacteria is actually very abundant in the islands of Hawaii, and that's part of they're actually attributed by biologists and ecologists as a very important part of what makes the islands of Hawaii such an important place and a rich place for life. I've also identified particular rocks like basalt and granite as really beneficial for soil. And I was actually able to find a lot of pieces of basalt and granite in basically all around the landscaping here in this city, which to me seems a terrible waste, because the whole reason why, like, we have landscaping, like, with sandstone is understandable because it's not really useful, but the reason why we have landscaping here in Las Vegas is because we can't really grow a whole lot, because our soil isn't being properly mineralized and irrigated. And, like, we already have the minerals on top of the dirt that we can't grow on. It's absurd. But yeah, the main thing that I'm actually wanting to talk about right now is that with all this thinking and acting on, like, identifying and collecting particular kinds of rocks and talking about cultivating bacteria to help the soil, I actually got to wondering, on a spiritual level, what's the difference between what I'm doing and witchcraft? And I'm finding out not a whole lot. Because part of the philosophy of witchcraft, apparently, is that the more attuned you are with your natural surroundings and the people around you, and your own capacity to act on those surroundings, the more effective you will be in your practice. So yeah, I was also lately listening to some talks given by a man named Damien Eccles. He was one of the West Memphis Three. He's a practitioner of high magic, and I've actually been finding that his talks are really pleasant and enriching. So I'm not gonna come here encouraging anyone to listen to any spiritual rants from me or Damien Eccles, but if you're interested at all, I would say, like, it doesn't hurt. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about this species of bacteria I mentioned earlier, Cupria vitis nicator. Part of its physiology is, like, its oxygen-based respiration emits moisture. That's a pretty important detail. But also, one of its drawbacks is that its form of food comes in the form of nitrites and nitrates in the soil, which means it will be competing with plants for this source of nutrition. So to counterbalance that, I would honestly recommend, like, trying to cultivate a nitrogen-fixing bacteria alongside it, so the soil can be more self-sustaining. So it's also looking like I'm going to be having to move spots soon. Maybe I mentioned it before. I got lost talking about this other stuff. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to be moving. My family is talking about going to Florida for the time being, but I'm not really feeling on board with that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing something else, though it's not going to be a very pleasant conversation with my family. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I'm honestly really glad that I'm taking this opportunity to check in and just talk about the stuff that I've been learning about and doing since this whole outbreak of SARS-CoV-2. Oh, also, I've been growing a garden. There's like bits of recycled celery. I've also sprouted some soybeans. There seems to be some artichokes. I've also been growing tomato plants, and I've been caring for this odd weed in this pot next to this tiny dead tree. It's been joyful. I've been having a blast with this garden. It brings me a lot of joy. Anyway, please stay safe, everyone, and please feel okay about yourselves and all that. Have a nice day. Thank you.